Still nothing better.
No. This is tops.
No chance. That's what you got.
You know when this sound hits, business is truly about to pick up. One way, shape, or form.
Except it didn't.
I know.
Well, we'll talk about that.
We'll get into it. But yeah, somebody, like, it was really missing a... You're fired.
Dude, I don't think he can really do it anymore.
No, I know.
Like, even at the very end where he tried to get that, like, it seemed to be a struggle.
Well, he looked like he looked like he had a shiner. Like one of his eyes was like...
It looked like he hadn't slept, but that's nothing new because they say that man never sleeps.
Yeah. It was the day after a pay-per-view and they had TV, so I'm sure between the pay-per-view and Monday Night Raw, he barely slept.
Yeah. Which
is dedication. Damn.
Well, listen, you can't ever take away Vince McMahon's dedication, whether you're enjoying the product or not. This guy is fucking dedicated, you know. I mean, listen, and it shows. Listen, the dedication shows when McMahon realizes there's a problem and he comes out and they're trying to fix it and address it. I think whether you enjoyed Raw or not, whether you enjoyed TLC or not, whether you're happy with the way Vince, quote unquote, stirred things up. At the end of the day, I said it last week and I'm going to say it now. This is the beginning of something special. You can say what you want. I'm telling you, I mean, just think about the bigger picture. You started to see promos of the return of Sami Zayn. You saw promos of the return of Kevin Owens. They ruined the fact that they're going to call up EC3 and 3 others from NXT. God forbid we ever have a fucking element of surprise anymore in this business.
I know.
You know, I mean, listen, I knew about EC3, you know, but it looks like they're going to spearhead it. So they're making changes. And I think, you know, it's going to start to come together. I really do.
I hope
whether or not the McMahons being back running the show is going to, I still think they need a GM. I thought that was a missed opportunity to bring Hogan back or something like that to do a GM kind of role. And that's not to say that something to that effect still may or may not happen. You know, but listen, a lot of people were shitting on Raw. And I mean, I did the reverse. I wound up watching Raw and then I watched TLC today.
Yeah, you'd probably be in a better mood if you watched them in that order because TLC was decent.
Because from my perspective and doing it in the order I did, I didn't think Raw was that bad, and I actually enjoyed TLC. I enjoyed it. I think the matches were good. I wasn't really that disappointed. You know, people were talking about the Baron Corbin. Listen, the common thing I've heard is it was a great segment, and it's a good segment for Raw, not a pay-per-view.
And then they did it again the next night, the exact same segment.
Well, they did, but it was a little different. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the Baron Corbin situation, I could watch that scenario go over 5 or 6 more times because Baron Corbin is getting what he deserves. You know, this is what the people have wanted, is for him to get his ass kicked, and we're getting it. This is that story coming to close. I don't think there was any other way they could have done it at the pay-per-view and have Braun with the match because Braun obviously is not cleared.
He's not 100.
So,
he's not 100.
Right. So to me, I enjoyed it. I thought the New Day Kofi King, you know, I thought that tag team match was great.
That was a very good match.
I thought Ronda once again, in my opinion, she outdid herself. She pulled out some shit that we haven't seen.
That thing where she went for the guillotine and then Nia tried to get her up for the suplex and she reversed it into a rear naked choke. Yeah. Oh, what a sight.
You know what I liked about that match too is that even though we all knew Ronda was winning, Nia made you believe that she could pull it off.
Well, I think just looking at Nia, you could get that sense that she could pull it off.
Same thing at Money in the Bank when they did it.
Right. But I think Nia did her part. I thought she did great. Ronda exceeded expectations again, in my opinion.
Nia got punked the fuck out after that, though, by Becky.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That was a great segment.
That was a great segment.
It tied up that loose end there.
Right. I mean, it's just, and I mean, it goes on and on. I think AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, I thought that match was fantastic. That didn't disappoint me. Ambrose Rollins, that I agree with the crowd. It was boring. I just can't get bought.
Should have been a ladder match or something.
They should have done something.
Because here's the issue. Like, you guys are kind of we're all touching on the same thing here. There was a lot of good in that pay-per-view. The only real lull to me was Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins.
Yes.
And not because they're bad, because I'm watching that match and I'm going, fuck, Dean is so good. He goes up and does this top rope superplex or whatever the fuck it was. And I'm like, it's just crisp. It's clean. He knows how to work.
They are fantastic in the ring. It's nothing against them. It's just for some reason I can't get emotionally invested in this feud, and I don't know why.
I think because it all started with the Roman cancer thing, and they're still kind of bringing it up, and it's like Roman getting cancer doesn't really have
leave him out of it, though. I don't
Dean Ambrose, and now Dean Ambrose.
Well, I mean, listen, if you're gonna try and fully get yourself over as a top heel, I mean,
it's the sorest spot you can poke at. Yeah.
Right. It's an easy, reaction.
But look at, what was it, 2 years ago? I want to say it was TLC 2016. Seth and Dean had a hell of a TLC match.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting that, especially since I thought the pay-per-view is TLC. There's got to be a gimmick. They're not just going to go out there and wrestle a match. And that's kind of what they did. When there are times when wrestling a match is what they need to do. Like Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles is at the point in a feud where they wrestle a match, like a real match, before there are any stipulations. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins are at the point where it should have been a brawl, a garbage, like not necessarily like a hardcore match, but just some plunder, something in there that wasn't two guys just wrestling, because it was more than that. It was personal. It was you're attacking somebody's close friend or their family members, and like, I needed more of that. I needed, if there just was nothing about it that, even though they're acting like it's a blood feud, nothing about it gave me the impression that it was a blood feud and they hated each other, because it was just it was a straight up wrestling match.
Yet they gave Lashley versus Elias a ladder match for a guitar in which the weapon is not as hurtful as the actual ladder that they're climbing up to get it.
Yeah. Somehow Vince Russo snuck his way into the writer's room, and slipped in he snuck in like Peter Griffin and slipped the paper in and left.
Tables, ladders, chairs, and guitars.
Randy Orton Ray was good.
That was a great match, and I wasn't disappointed with the finish either.
No.
I mean, that's the thing too. We got great matches, and we got
finishes.
That's
just we always talk about bad finishes.
Yeah.
Like, this was really, to me, this was one of the better pay-per-views we've had in a while. And let's not discuss the first ever triple threat women's tables, ladders, and chairs match, because those women knocked it out of the park. And, I'm the first to always say the world title match should be the main event. This deserved the main event spot.
Well, they earned it. It was a world title.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I know.
That's not to take away from the women at all. But I mean, Jesus Christ, that match was so fucking good. They all worked really well, and
there was a finish. There was an awesome finish.
There was a great finish, but now here's my thing, and I want to talk to you guys about this, because to me, the finish was bittersweet, and I'm not talking about Rousey. That was great. That was her getting some pay.
Becky, right?
Both of them. No, Ronda coming out and knocking the ladder over on both of them.
Yeah, but I mean, you're like, it's bittersweet because like Asuka won the championship, but
here's the thing though. I am a huge Asuka fan, and we've all been saying on this show for months, what the fuck? Why are they treating Asuka so poorly? Yeah. And now she's got the title, and I know Vince is very high on Asuka, which is a good thing. But once again, Becky did not, in my opinion, get her just due. She did not get a run. She didn't get a run the last time. She didn't get a run this time. She needs to have a few solid months of defending that belt and being the man. And
I agree.
you know, that's the only thing. I'm not.
I think it's because she's winning the Rumble.
Go ahead, Eric.
I think it's because she's winning the Rumble.
Very possible.
It's possible.
Or they do. You know, I honestly thought with, you know, supposedly there was going to be a shakeup last night. We'll get into that too. We'll talk about Raw as well. I thought they were going to address Charlotte and Ronda and Becky Monday night. Instead, they gave us the longest gauntlet match in the history of the world, where I would rather have a sore tooth in the 1800s where they have to take a goddamn axe pick to my mouth than watch that match again.
See, now hold on. First of all, you had to know they weren't going to address the
I figured somebody
those women, because they're going to address that on SmackDown Live. As far as the gauntlet match, was it very long? Yes, absolutely. I didn't think it was that bad, though. I mean, I didn't think. I thought Bayley put on a hell of a performance. Natalie. Oh, and let's not. We also have to address Natty at TLC. But
yes,
you know, I didn't think that gauntlet was so terrible. It was long.
I cooked and ate a whole meal in the time that match occurred.
It was long.
A whole meal.
It was long.
But there was people in there like that you don't fucking. Alicia Fox isn't gonna get that fucking match. Ruby Riot's not gonna get that match. Like, at least put people in there that are contenders, you know. And if you know, and I kind of was not expecting Charlotte or Becky to be in there, but it would have been nice if they were in there, or if one of them ran out and at least made an appearance, let us know they're alive. I don't know. I was just expecting someone, and then I don't know. Natty winning,
expecting more of a shakeup, really.
Yes, because Vince McMahon came out and basically said, tonight on Raw, I swear to God, nobody's going to take their thumb and stick it directly in their asshole. And then every segment, almost, was somebody coming out and sticking their thumb directly in their asshole, which is the opposite of what he said was going to happen. And I don't mean that in a way that they embarrass themselves. I just mean that, like, he said there was going to be a shakeup, and there really wasn't a shakeup. So it was like he came out and said something that didn't really happen.
But I think you have to look at it from a different point of view. Like, I think you have to look at it as this is the beginnings of what is going to shake things up. You know, like announcing, you know, EC3 and, you know, these NXT call-ups.
All good call-ups, by the way. I don't dislike any of them.
Very, very good call-ups. I agree with the call-ups. I just wish, you know,
there's no element of surprise anymore, like you said.
None. It's disappointing.
Like if EC3 came out and just interfered in a match and helped AOP win, and then it spud EC3 and AOP as a faction.
Oh, it'd be great.
You know, it's something like that. Fuck, I don't know. Look, I mean, that's something I just made up off the top of my head, and was
but that would actually make the spud thing make a lot more sense.
Yeah. It would.
Well, it makes sense to anyone that's familiar with TNA.
Yeah, because of how well those two guys have shown.
And they'd have to somewhat address it.
Yeah, but I mean, even little things like I was talking during the segment on Raw where Dean was going to come out, and he offered the open challenge. First of all, if you know what Seth Rollins' height and weight and build is like, you knew right away that one of those guys was Seth Rollins 100%. I knew from the first segment. I'm like, oh, there's Seth. But the IC title doesn't need to be in the middle of this feud. It's not about the title. Get rid of it. I was talking in the chat. I'm like, oh, Seth's going to interfere. Then when it was Prince Pretty, Tyler Breeze challenging, I'm like, oh, he's going to interfere, and Tyler Breeze is going to get the win, and he's going to be the IC champion, and then we can have all of the mid-card guys go after Tyler Breeze, and maybe like when Fandango comes back, he challenges for the title, but it opens the floor to like Finn Balor. It opens to Chad Gable, to your Heath Slaters, to get a title shot and actually kind of almost have a chance at winning, because it's against a mid-card guy like Tyler Breeze and not a main event guy like Dean or Seth. So right. I thought that would have been a nice little change there. He interferes and switches the title around. Then that's kind of a shakeup. And then we really have a real mid-card, because right now we have, because Brock is off, the IC title is the main belt, and it's being held by a main event caliber guy, which means all the mid card guys, like traditionally the IC title was for, aren't getting those opportunities.
I think you just have to just be patient. I think this is the beginning of something special. I really do. I think it's coming.
That's fine.
This is the beginning. I'm telling you.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right. They're acknowledging the problem and they're going to fix it. I really, truly believe that. Listen, I have about 4 minutes before I have to run, unfortunately, and I leave it in the hands of you two. But I do want to just say, to me, out of all the matches at TLC, and I can't believe it, but Natty Ruby was my favorite match.
That exceeded my expectations.
I saw a side of Natty that I have not seen. Ruby was fantastic. Natty was fantastic. The story was fantastic. Natty putting on her dad's jacket and then the sunglasses. I mean, just the whole tribute to Anvil. It was so special. It was really well done.
I like the way that they structured that match because she took out Sarah Logan, and then Corey was like, "Oh, well, why is she attacking her?" And in my mind, I'm like, she's gonna go through all the Riot Squad girls, so there's no interference, so she can get to Ruby, and it worked.
And Liv took a hell of a bump.
For that bump.
Liv took a hell of a bump.
Jesus Christ.
She went flying.
And that's something that you need, that logic in a match, and that story. It's a story within a story. They told that story in the match, and then that continues the broader tale. And then pulling out the fucking, first of all, this thing where they take fat heads that you stick on the wall and put them on a table. That shit's hilarious. But the fact that she pulled out a Ruby Riot table and put it through it,
that was great.
That was
storytelling.
Awesome. But now here's the thing. I loved that. Flash forward to Monday night, and they have Natty staring up at the sky as if Jim the Anvil Neidhart is going to come down in white robes and bless her with this fucking title shot. All my goodwill for her dad dying went out the window at the end of Raw, because it was like, okay, we get it. This is going to be like Eddie, where everybody that wins has to thank Eddie and look to the sky and pretend that he's blessing their match right now. It was just, I didn't like that. I thought that was phony on Monday night.
It was a little much. They should have left it the way they did at the pay-per-view, and But I got to tell you, I did not think Raw sucked as bad as social media portrayed. I thought TLC was very well done. I think the Rumble is going to be great. Braun Strowman is no longer in charge. Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin. Braun Strowman's going against Lesnar at the Rumble. Question is now, does Braun get the strap? I mean, listen, we're going to make changes and we're going to shake things up, and we're going to let the universe be the voice. Then Braun should be winning the title at the Rumble.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't, if he's not the guy that you want headlining wrestling, which I don't see why the fuck not. He has been so over, and he could get right back there with having the title. But if you wanted to go a different direction, you have between Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber and all this other shit to switch the title. But it would be interesting for Braun to win, and then maybe Brock has to enter himself in the Elimination Chamber. That's different. When the fuck has Brock ever had to be in that position where he has to earn a title shot and fight off some other guys? It hasn't happened in a long time. So there are interesting ways we can take this, which is good. Yeah. In the short term, I mean, Raw to me was a bear to get through. That 3 hours is a
listen.
crap.
That's never going to change. It's always going to be long. It's just unless they go back to a 2-hour format, this is going to be something that no matter how good the actual show is, we're still going to complain it's too long, and that's just the unfortunate. That's just what we're in.
I wouldn't be opposed to them giving an hour of the show to the women, kind of like they did last night, but not just one big gauntlet match. I would, if they had an hour of the show dedicated to the women's matches and the women's angles and all that.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with that.
Someone on
guys, listen, I'm sorry, I gotta run, but I will talk to you all later.
Excellent.
And I will. Yes. All right.
We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
He's got to head out to an engagement. A holiday.
Gotta make like a big
thing, right? So, I don't even know where the fuck I was going earlier before he left. What were we just talking about? aside from wrestling? Who specifically?
Yeah, no, I thought TLC was definitely decent.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't call decent to good. I wouldn't call it great, but
Oh no, it wasn't. But there were great like the main event was great.
The only omissions I would have had was like the Elias Lashley match didn't need to happen. The mixed match challenge could have been done on a Raw or SmackDown.
Oh yeah,
waste of time. And I wish the cruiserweight title match would have been on the actual pay-per-view.
I absolutely agree with that. I don't understand why. And again, I was just going to say with Steve, while we were talking about segmenting Raw, one of the other things they could do is make one of those hours 205 live, or at least dedicated time to these fucking guys. They're on you pay them to be there. I don't understand. You pay them to be there, and you put them on TV for 1 or 2 matches on a fucking Wednesday night on your streaming service. They're not even on the main program. Come on, man. They're fucking there. Let them wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, look, I want to talk about, we had Tyler Breeze challenge, but he had shown up in NXT to challenge Ricochet for the North American title, and he looked phenomenal in that match, better than he did last night. But it's still great to see Tyler Breeze in a position like that again. And also, I also want to address Mustafa Ali on SmackDown last week.
Mustafa Ali is pretty great.
He really is, and it I don't know, something about I really feel like 205 Live is a waste of time. I'd get half of these guys onto Raw or SmackDown or NXT, and have them showcased like that on the bigger shows.
Right. Well, the whole reason
everybody watches 205 Live, and if they're not showcased in other areas, then people might not know the story.
And that's the issue, is like when they announced they were bringing the cruiserweight division back, and maybe this is just, an idea I got in my head, but it was almost like they were saying, Nitro had the cruiserweights, or WCW had the cruiserweights, and they put the focus on them, and they gave them like an hour of the show, whether it was Thunder or Nitro, they gave them a nice chunk of time to work, and we're going to do the same thing. And they kind of did that. They would give like one match, and especially when like Enzo was around, they'd give time on the main roster show to the 205 guys. But they really haven't done that lately, and I think that could be part of the shakeup.
I think once after Enzo left, I think they hadn't really done that in a long time.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's you've got a guy like Mustafa Ali who's super over, and Buddy Murphy's a great wrestler. Cedric's fantastic. Fucking Mike Bennett is a stud. Like, you got all these guys. Jack Gallagher. I mean, what the fuck? All of these guys who you'd give them a shot. Let them do something. I don't know. I did not like that fucking gauntlet match at all. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little.
I would have put it, to me, I would have stacked it with a bunch of that every name sounded like somebody who could win and challenge for the title. I just would have stacked the shit out of it. Because even now, honestly, Sasha and Bayley, they are unfortunately jobber status. They are the job guys of the women's division. Sasha tapped out to Natalya. To fucking Natalya. I'm sorry. I know family, her dad passed away. But fucking Natalya Neidhart?
Right. I mean,
to the sharpshooter? Oh my God.
So if we could have shortened that and got rid of some of the dead weight in that match, who first of all, like, get rid of like Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox.
Exactly. And you announced Nikki Cross. Fuck it. Have her show up.
Yeah.
Somebody like have an NXT girl come, Bianca Belair. She doesn't have to win, but put her in the fucking match.
Yeah. Now, since we're talking about let's talk about the NXT call-ups. Now we already discussed this with Steve as far as no
surprise
elements anymore. Now, so what I would have done was waited, because we knew that EC3 was going to come up soon anyway.
Right.
I would have kept him till the Rumble. I would have had him come out as number 3.
EC3, yeah. I mean, hey,
1% plays and at number 3, and he comes out EC3 at number 3, and then last like a 20 minutes or something, just so we can get like a little moment, like when AJ Styles came into the Rumble that year,
right? And that's the thing. Like, to go back to speaking of Nikki Cross, did they have a women's open challenge and then Sanity's music hit, and then Sanity came out and led Nikki and
That was a
Nikki
few,
Cross.
yeah. That was like that in Manchester when they had Becky Lynch did the challenge, and then
Right, and they actually, it was a legit, it was like a surprise. It was great, and I'm not saying they should replicate that for her debut on Raw or SmackDown, but I mean, goddamn, you've got that opportunity.
I wonder. I wonder if I don't know how I feel whether I want her to be separated from Sanity or kept with them. Because she is great on her own, but they haven't been doing anything with Sanity.
No, maybe bringing her with Sanity will elevate them, because it is one of those things where they work better as a group.
Like shit, Eric Young is fucking awesome. I mean,
and especially after that performance in that War Games last year.
Oh God, all of them. I was like,
yeah,
we knew Eric Young can go, and we had heard things about Killian Dane, but even Alexander Wolf, proved me wrong in that match. I'm like, before that, I didn't think anything of him, and then he was pretty brutalized in that match too.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that. You take those three guys and you put them against the New Day. You take those three guys and Nikki Cross and you put them against the New Day and Carmella. Or what the fuck? I mean, if we're going to have factions of people, which would be, they haven't done this in a while. Factions really haven't been a thing since.
Factional warfare.
Right. I mean, not only had the gang warfare with fucking Savio Vega and all those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And the DOA.
Awesome.
But so, and I'm not saying do that again exactly, but you can have Sanity, and there are 4 or 5 people, and there's a woman, there's a woman's wrestler in there, and you could have the Usos and Naomi, and they could draft fucking another Samoan cousin. They've got another cousin that can wrestle. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, there's a one of the dudes that was in, I think, the Cruiserweight Classic was related to them.
Right. So I mean, there you go, and you can have these factions, and they, I would almost be okay with if they had a 6-man title that it was cross-brand, so you could defend it in Raw, SmackDown, or NXT.
Like do like Lucha Underground, like a trios titles.
Yes,
that kind of thing.
Exactly, and then you have a place for Sanity, and you have a place for your other, Undisputed Era when they move up. God, that's such a scary prospect because those guys are so good, and then you're going to put them on that overstuffed roster, and they're never going to get any TV time. So I'm glad they're still in NXT.
Yeah, and then let's see. Well, they've been playing the Lars Sullivan things for weeks now.
Yep.
So we knew that. We just don't know where he's going to be.
It's true.
Lacey Evans, she does nothing for me. I don't really care about the character at all.
It's Sunny. It's the old Sunny.
Yeah,
gimmick.
she's decent in the ring, but I don't know. I don't really care for the character. And Heavy Machinery, I think, is going to get over big time.
That was I was going to say the dark horse pick here for people that are going to get over real quick is Heavy Machinery.
When he does that worm, man,
yep.
I mean,
people love it.
That size to do the worm, forget about it.
And here's the thing: if he can do the worm, he can do all other kinds of shit wrestling wise, not just dance moves, because he's athletic enough or has the core strength.
Yeah.
So that translates to other skills. I'm excited to see them.
And and then another team in NXT that I think could potentially be on the main roster and be showcased well is the Street Profits, because they have like a crime thing going on where they can get over with everybody.
I know. And hey, you know what? If we're talking factions, bring back JTG and he's their manager, and boom, you got 3 guys.
Right, yeah.
Fucking whatever happened to Shad? I liked Shad Gaspard. I know people might be down on like his ring work or whatever, but I thought Crime Time, considering the only 3 black guys that they pushed at the time were Kofi and Crime Time, and maybe Booker T. We'll throw him in as number 4. That was it. They didn't book any other black guys back then.
And you know what's funny? Like at the time, I did not like the Crime Time gimmick at all. I thought it was fucking stupid. It
was ridiculous.
Saying that though, I kind of wish they had it run with the belts, and they didn't.
The fact that they didn't was
either
a travesty, because they had that whole thing of they stole stuff, and didn't they steal the belts from Lance Cade and what's his face?
Yeah, and they basically they almost had like this gimmick of like the Mo Money skits from In Living Color, in a way.
Yeah, I mean they were. I know it was ridiculous and it was kind of a and couldn't get away with it in 2018. I'm sure, but it was fun. It was different. Like they stole Royal Rumble numbers or whatever the fuck else. Like they'd take somebody's wallet while they were, one of them would talk and the other one would steal his wallet. Shit like that. Like okay,
Did you know? Do you know what JTG actually stood for?
just too gangsta.
I thought it was just that good.
Now we have to look it up.
I don't know, but they never really addressed it. But JTG was on that list for years of is he going to get released this year?
Oh yeah.
uh
JTG also wrestled as the Neighbor Hoodie. That's fantastic.
Oh my God.
Before they were Crime Time, they were called the Gang Stars. No.
Oh God, Crime Time is better.
Yeah, Crime Time is much better.
I also like the over the top white guy doing the intro for them kind of thing, like yo,
it's Crime Time. That's hilarious.
Wait, whatever he said.
And then they went into Brooklyn. Hey man, I'm okay with that shit.
Pop your 40s and check your rollies. It's Crime.
Yeah. Oh, what fun. That was fun. Like
I don't know. I think a lot. Oddly enough, I feel good about these NXT call-ups in that I think they'll be pushed okay.
Yeah, I think they
have this feeling, but I have a good feeling. And I always thought that EC3 would definitely be good on the main roster, almost better, like kind of like an Elias kind of thing.
Yeah, because it almost seems like NXT is a land of smaller guys. And then
the indie darlings kind of guys where he kind of didn't really fit in quite that way.
Yeah, no, I get that. I absolutely get that.
His impact was bigger than an indie,
Yeah, the thing that's gonna be weird though is, they have already both rosters are stacked in terms of they have a bunch of people.
Yeah, and then plus you got Sammy and Kevin coming back.
Right. And then so how are you gonna mix in everybody? It's almost like if they're bringing these people up, they should take somebody, send a couple people to NXT. And again, don't make it look like a punishment because look, Tyler Breeze went down to NXT and it wasn't a punishment, it was a positive thing. So send them down there to, challenge for titles or whatever.
Do you think Owens and Zayn are gonna be I mean, I know they're gonna get cheered big time when they come back, but do you think they'll be portrayed as faces, or maybe just for one night? But they do have issues. At least Owens has issues with like Lashley now,
right?
Because of that match, and obviously Lashley has history with Sami Zayn. Oh, I mean, I could see Lashley and Lio Rush versus those two,
and that'd be fine. I don't know if the way that they did those videos apart from each other, it wasn't clear if Sammy and Kevin were going to come back as a unit or not.
Right. Yeah, that's true too. But I mean, I think the problem with like the tag team divisions and even the women's divisions, as good as they've been lately, I think individually they're not as good as they could be if they were able to go.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you want women's tag titles, then it's redundant to have two singles women's titles.
Yeah.
Especially if the tag titles are going to go from show to show. What do you need two singles women's titles for?
Yeah, I was thinking about that,
and they can't even manage their fucking tag team division. So, like, you want a women's tag titles, really?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that people tend to think more titles is like better, and I
more
understand
is not more, less is more,
right? And it's almost like you want to, if you're selling a match, and this is what this is an argument for UFC too. When somebody gets injured, like if a champion gets injured or they can't compete or whatever, they'll make an interim title and they'll put two guys for the interim title, and then they'll unify the belt somewhere down the line when the original champion gets healthy,
like they did when CM Punk left.
Right, and so that's all well and good, but then you're billing their idea. The thought is, oh, we're going to build this as a title match, so people will buy more pay-per-views or they'll tune in more because it's a title match. But then you're just yes, people will watch because it's a title match, but then if you're really eroding the importance of the title match or getting a title or earning a title when let's say you didn't, if you were on SmackDown, you said, I want to get traded to Raw. Why? Well, because this guy stinks and this guy stinks. I think it's easier to get a title on Raw. Or like there's two, if you didn't win the tag team titles, well, we'll go over to the other show and try there. It's like, come on, it should be one championship because you're better than everybody on the fucking roster, period. That's why you are the champion. I don't ever think that they should split the titles like that. I think the champion is maybe I'm a little old school, but the champion is a champion, and if the champion's duty is to show up on SmackDown and Raw each week, well, guess what? There's a reason we made you the fucking champion. You got to be on both shows, or just don't put him on. Have him get injured on Monday Night Raw, and then they can't compete on Tuesday. You can do shit like that. It's just
they can cut a promo or something. They don't always have to wrestle necessarily.
Exactly, and that was the problem. We got into that problem in when Raw came back to USA. I feel like this was right around that time. They realized because John Cena was so big, John Cena had to be on every fucking show. John Cena's wrestling in the main event. John Cena's challenging somebody for a title shot. He opens up Raw every week, rips his shirt off, throws his hat into the crowd, and he says, I want a title shot right now in wherever the fuck we are, and everybody cheers, and then Edge would come down and say, no, you're not wrestling me tonight, but you will wrestle Randy Orton, and then we got to the point where people every week expected the main event or the involvement of the people in the main event scene to be pay-per-view quality because you were just getting Triple H in the main event every week, Edge in the main event every week. It was like, well, why? We need to scale this back.
I feel like they place more importance on Raw than they do the pay-per-views. What I mean by that is they don't really build up the pay-per-views anymore. Because if you see,
that's
completely free on Raw and SmackDown, and I know, yes, they've been doing that since the Attitude Era, but still, like, you see all that shit for free, then what the hell do you care about the pay-per-view for?
Well, that's the problem with the streaming services. Now, instead of trying to fight for a $60, $59 pay-per-view, trying to get their pay-per-view dollars, making it worth the $59 or $64.99 for whatever it is, they make it's only a $10 a monthly thing. So realistically, they don't have to provide you $60 of value. They only need to provide you $10 of value with the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view itself means less. It's the Impact strategy. They'd end the pay-per-view.
Oh, the $10 a week thing, yeah.
But but think about the way they used, like, even after the $10 pay-per-view era, you'd watch a TNA pay-per-view, there'd be a screw job, and then Mike Tenay would go, well, we'll just have to see what happens on Impact. And it's like, well, we just paid for a pay-per-view. I need to see what happens now. I paid for it. Why the fuck am I going to watch on Thursday? Thursday's free. Sunday, I paid for. I want to see the resolution on Sunday, and that's
remember when WCW did that with the Goldberg DDP match?
That went over. That went over.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's different.
But still, it's a similar thing, but people have been doing it intentionally now.
See, what I would have done if I were WWE back when they just started the network is I would have, like, I get that, and I actually do like the fact that it's basically $10 a month, but I would have actually not included the big four. I would have still had those as regular pay-per-view prices.
Yeah, I think
and built them up I
think they want to do that. They want to make it tiered and have like a silver, gold, platinum kind of thing. I definitely think that that's in the works, but I also think they didn't want to alienate people right away. They wanted to say, hey, all pay-per-views are included $10. But that was 4 years ago.
That was to get the subscribers, yeah.
So I know changes are coming, just like with Netflix. Every so often they change their tiers now.
I do want to mention that I think it's January, I gotta look, the 12th is NXT UK Takeover Blackpool.
UK, all right.
UK is getting it, and now I've tried it. It's a lot of TV because they did so many tapings in the summer that they stacked them, and now it's like 2 a week, and it's hard to catch up on that stuff. And some guys are killing it, and some are not. And it, obviously Pete Dunne is doing Pete Dunne. Mustache Mountain.
Those guys are all fantastic. The British Strong Style guys are all fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. But there's a couple of gems in there. Like Dave Mastiff is like he's a lot shorter than I thought, but he's a big dude. He's pretty good, and he can move around like a cruiserweight for a big guy. Flash Morgan Webster, he's an interesting character. Mark Andrews, Mark Andrews has always been good.
Yeah, he was in TNA for a while.
Right? Yeah. That when they had the that whatever that challenge thing was,
the gut check, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah. Although I dislike that they just combined his name and just called him Mandrews, which was stupid.
Oh, Mandrews, that was so funny. Yeah, I was gonna say Mandrews before, but
he's got the crowd behind him, and then you got a couple of like the Wolfgang turned heel, and now he's with the Coffee Brothers, and they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, the Coffee Brothers are pretty good.
Now, and they're gonna have a stable warfare with British Strong Style, and it's coming together. It's going to take a while, and then obviously Rhea Ripley as the UK Women's Champion is tearing it up. You got the tag titles coming soon. The women's division actually is pretty good in the UK brand too.
Yeah, and these are also things, and if you want to have Raw be different, you want to shake things up, have a NXT UK showcase match, and have Pete Dunne wrestle Joe Coffey or whatever the fuck. But keep it, have something every week like that, where you're highlighting NXT UK and you bring guys in, or you're highlighting 205 Live and bring guys in, or you're going to highlight the NXT women's division or whatever the case may be. Have Ricochet defend the North American Championship against somebody on.
Like they used to do that. They did that for Charlotte before she actually made her regular debut on the main roster.
They had ECW take over Monday Night Raw back in, was it 96?
96, 97. Yeah, oh man, that was great.
When Sabu jumped off the Raw logo and ECW,
he kind of felt like Heyman was going fucking nuts.
But and I'm not saying they need to take over the whole show, but have outside things happen. Like I still think they muffed up this fucking Balor Club thing, especially when you consider Gallows and Anderson haven't had a TV match since August. 4 months. So those are things, and again, you don't have to run with the Balor Club being the top guys on Raw. Fucking have them cause some trouble. Different things that need to happen. Tell me, I wanted your opinion on this thought here. They hire a lot of TV writers who have experience with sitcoms and other forms of television media, but not necessarily wrestling fans. I like the idea of that you need people who are involved in TV, who know how to shoot TV and format all that stuff and write proper scripts in the right way. That's all fantastic. But I feel like they need to have writers who are also long-term fans of wrestling that kind of understand the ins and outs of wrestling to address this kind of stuff. Like if you went to that person, you had the TV, if the TV writers who are good at writing stuff for sitcoms and dramas went to the wrestling person and said, hey, we're trying to do this, or we want to switch this up, what would be the wrestling way to go about it? And they say, whatever the situation is, this person turns heel, you do this, that, and the other thing. You have a three-way match. Somebody hits their finisher, but you knock them out of the ring and the other guy gets pinned. They'll give you little things that have happened in wrestling that, finishes they've thought that have happened in the past that maybe haven't come up in a while. Kind of gimmicks that you can understand that have worked before in wrestling, and then adapt them. So it's not just television people trying to write wrestling storylines and then they don't get it because they're not wrestlers. They're not wrestling fans.
Yeah, no, it's I think they definitely that is a problem, that just because you've worked in TV doesn't mean you can write a wrestling show. But that reminds me, the how like there were the complaints, well, obviously there's always complaints, but the one about and then, so I don't know who it was. One of the writers comes back and says, do you know how hard it is to write a 3-hour show every week, blah, 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 and all. And then, like, first of all, I don't think anybody is saying that it's not hard. No one's saying that. But when you're coming back with that, I'm like, then I'm thinking, well, and I wrote a blog about this recently. Like, isn't that the problem then? Maybe there is too much content.
Yes, and that if it's hard,
obviously they want to make money, but at the same, there's got to be some kind of happy medium somewhere.
Right. If it's hard to write 3 hours of TV, which it is, because that, like I said last week, there's a reason Breaking Bad wasn't 3 hours long every week. It's that you can't do it. 3 hours worth of programming is hard to write. Now, the advantage that they have is if they want, they can tell two guys to go out there and wrestle for half an hour. They could, but they don't. So the thing that they could use to their advantage to having matches that engage people and draw them in, they're not really doing. So now they have to have basically 3 hours of scripted programming, which is pages and pages. I mean, it's a movie. It's a long movie every week.
See, this is why I like NXT and how they present it, because it is short. It's 1 hour, but they get everything in, but not everything. They don't always get to, because obviously they have a good roster, they can't get to everybody, so they may showcase them the next week, and it's okay. And even the takeovers are, I mean, they're shortened to the point.
Yeah, and I don't. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. If 3 hours is a long time, then split it up. You have a lot of writers. Split up the teams. You get hour 1, you get hour 2, you get hour 3. Have some people work together to sew everything together so it flows between the hours.
Yeah,
and then have like the women. Hour 1 is the women. I don't know. Something.
Yeah, something like that, definitely. But there's no reason other than the Big Four to have the other pay-per-views as 4-hour pay-per-views. It's not necessary. You could have cut out 4 of those matches.
4-hour pay-per-views with 2-hour pre-shows. And I know you don't have to watch the pre-shows, but they put matches on the pre-shows, and sometimes those matches.
Yeah, I mean, remember the half-hour free-for-all that the pre-show that they used to do?
Yeah, it's gone. That's a thing in the past.
Yeah, but they had matches. Like, I mean, shit, the WrestleMania one for WrestleMania 12 was what was it? The Body Donna's winning the tag belts.
Right.
You had the one for the 96 Rumble where it was Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and the winner got number 30 in the Rumble, and the loser got number 1.
Right. But then that takes the problem with that they've written themselves or dug themselves into is that if something happens at 5:30 that affects the rest of the pay-per-view or affects a title change or something going forward, not everybody's going to see it. It's like, are you really? Yeah, I used to be this guy and I'm not this guy. I cannot sit there and watch 5 straight hours of this horse shit because Sam Roberts can suck my dick down to the root. Fucking Rosenberg, I'm sick of him. Pat McAfee's okay. Renee's starting to get awful. I only
he's
because
the worst for me.
At least he's new. I'm so sick of Sam.
He's new. He's got. I don't know who's got more of an annoying voice. No, Sam Roberts probably has a more annoying voice.
My name's Sam. Fucking jerk off.
What is it like? Chicken tenders.
I like chicken tenders.
Where did you get that from?
It's an internet thing that he said on his radio show that he eats like a child, and he kind of does. He likes chicken tenders and soda and dipping stuff in ketchup. He eats like a child even though he's in his 30s.
You know how people a lot of times look better with beards? He does not.
There's no saving that face. No beard, with a beard, until
he's going to save that hair.
He looks like. Do you remember the old? This is going way back. Posters in like the 80s, and there was like a baby orangutan with a big poofy tuft of hair on the top, and it looked surprised. Yeah. It was like a you got it in like a National Geographic or something when you were a kid. That is what I picture every time I see him. He just has ape-like features, and that fucking hair is atrocious.
I'd take Ben Savage's hair over his hair, over Sam Roberts' hair.
Sam Roberts has the worst hair of any hair in the history of hair, quite possibly.
And wait till
might be worse.
Wait till it recedes more. Forget it.
More? How much fucking more can it recede? It's halfway back to. He look. You know what? The only
It's like Dork the Clown.
he looks like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder's blind. Nobody told him he's bald. Poor guy. They keep pulling his braids back so fucking tight. He's bald halfway back on his head. And that's the same thing. Sam Roberts is bald halfway back. Like if you measured from his eyebrows to where the bald spot ended with the hairline, it would be fucking halfway, 3/4 up his head. And you know, you're somebody who's gone through the hair loss thing and decided to shave your hair.
Yeah, I went preemptive strike because I didn't want to look like I was losing it. I'd rather just be bald and that's that. And it makes it so much easier for my life, I'll tell you.
I'm sure, and it's a good look. And you put you pair it with a beard that's trimmed nicely or whatever. You can look good. You got a thing going on.
When I shaved my head but I still had the beard, my dad bought me one of those things that you draw the guy's beard or hair.
Oh, Wooly Willy.
Wooly Willy, yeah. He's
excellent.
Like, Eric, you look like Wooly Willy. I'm like, thanks, Dad.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I just you can't watch 5 hours of this stuff anymore. It's just not.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Now, the mixed match challenge, they booked themselves into a corner, honestly, because a lot of the people in these tag matches already had regular matches at the pay-per-view. So you had to have guys that were not going to be on the main pay-per-view here for this. And like, obviously, if you come down to Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox versus Carmella and R-Truth, you're going to choose Carmella and R-Truth. But at the same time, do you care about either of those people being number 30 in their respective Rumbles?
No, I mean, Carmella could win it. She's the only one. I mean, I know where they're trying to go, but they always have that fucking escape hatch. Like when they had Carmella with the money in the bank, they could just go, oh, well, we're going to have Carmella win Royal Rumble and challenge the SmackDown person and then work our way to Ronda versus Charlotte or Becky. I don't think so, though. But you're right. It's not them being number 30 is inconsequential because neither of them realistically have a chance of winning that fucking Rumble.
Yeah, like I would have rather, instead of doing Balor versus McIntyre, I wish they would have built up to Ziggler versus McIntyre for the pay-per-view and have Balor stay with Bayley and Balor and Bayley win the mixed match challenge and they're number 30.
Yeah. I wasn't a super fan of Drew losing, but I was okay with it if it progressed things. And then it was right back to Dolph, Finn, and Drew the very next night. Like, can we separate these fucking guys from each other, please?
Yeah, and then they rush things. They don't build things up anymore. I get that
it's Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor, which lasted 5 months and nobody gave a shit for 5 months.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff that could be. It's weird. The stuff that should be built up is not, and then the stuff that should be done on Raw before a pay-per-view gets the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's
the nonsense. I mean, it's
I just think that maybe Steve's right. This is a process that we have.
Yeah, look, I'm willing to give it a chance. Although like I said, I read next. Well, I mean, no, you know what?
That was taped. It was pre-taped. So
yeah, it was taped, and also it doesn't count because it's Christmas, and they really don't put all their tricks into a Christmas show anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's
so that doesn't really count.
Right.
That's so I could.
You almost got to start fresh.
But I will say this: I read the results, and I saved myself 3 hours of torture for next week.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's okay, but I'm sure. But
my
it's
real problem
I need to watch.
I guess my real issue was they promised a shakeup.
Right.
There was no shakeup to be had.
With the exception of like mentioning that NXT people were coming in. They really didn't.
Well, they tried the women's gauntlet, which I appreciate that they tried it. I didn't particularly like the actuality of it, but in theory, it was a good idea to kind of shake things up. I don't know,
The segment that happened on Raw, as well as TLC with the Baron Corbin thing. Now,
they fired him twice. Fucking.
Here's what I don't understand. Like Balor being there, I get. Heath Slater as the referee, that whole thing, I get. And but Rude and Gable, what were they so pissed at? They're the tag team champions. The Revival, if anything, should be in there.
Well, I guess it was because he gave AOP such an easy path to winning the titles. I don't know.
Yeah, I get, but and again, if it were me, first of all, Rude and Gable would not even be tag team champions right now.
Right.
But this may be because I think the Revival won or are going to win a title shot kind of thing. Maybe this is the way that they're going to get the belts to the Revival. And finally push them.
I'd be okay with that. A shakeup implies a certain amount of shaking up. So if they did a tag team, not they needed to switch, they just switched the tag team titles, but if they did a tag team title switch last night, or they stripped somebody of a title, or somebody rather than announcing the NXT guys just to announce them, somebody actually came out and made their debut. Like in that 4-way tag team title thing.
Yeah,
Heavy Machinery comes out. Hey, they're new signees. We're shaking it up. There were no trades. I thought maybe they'd trade some. I thought that's how Becky would get to Raw. They would trade Sasha for Becky or some shit. I don't know. There are ways to get to where we need to go.
Yeah. See, here is where I would have gone had they not given Asuka the title. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm very happy that Asuka is the champion, and even though I still feel she should have got her moment at Mania to begin with, but that's neither here nor there because that's history already at this point. But going into TLC, and this was like a pipe dream, obviously, because we talked about the having only one champion per division, kind of thing. But my thing, have Charlotte win at TLC. Then they do Ronda versus Charlotte too, only this time to unify the women's championships. And then Ronda turns heel by winning with help from Shayna and the other horsewomen. And then Becky wins the Rumble and then goes on to WrestleMania. And then they set up Becky versus Ronda for the title in the main event, which I still think is going to happen. It's probably going to include Charlotte. And then do Charlotte versus Shayna Baszler or something.
Yeah, I mean, again, switching things up, I'm okay. It's please mix more people in like that. Do it. And it doesn't have to be forever, and it doesn't have to be permanent. If you bring up Shayna to challenge somebody on SmackDown or Raw, it doesn't mean that she has to be with them forever. She can go back to NXT and bounce around. This is your organization. It's fucking fictional. You can do whatever you want with these people.
Yeah, shit. They can do Asuka versus Shayna at Mania. That would be cool.
Asuka Shayna would be great for me. I don't know if they have enough time to build it, but it would be fantastic.
You'd have to debut at the night after the Rumble or something.
God, yeah, I know. Or at the Rumble in the women's. I don't know, something. Yeah. So I guess Ryan said he submitted a question, but Kat didn't give it to me. She sent me Kaylee's. So for those of you who don't know, you go to AskTheWarReport at gmail.com. You'll be entered into a WrestleRumble.com pay-per-view pick'em contest where once a month we give away a WrestleRumble.com pay-per-view pick'em entry. They're only $5 on WrestleRumble.com to enter, but you can enter for free by asking a question to us at AskTheWarReport at gmail.com or hashtag AskTheWarReport. And right now, again, if there are any others that we didn't get to, Kat and Amanda have been away. They usually handle this stuff for us. If we haven't asked your question, we will get to it. We'll do a mailbag if we need to. So, Kaylee, who's a now frequent asker, the question was, since half the NXT roster is moving up, who do you think is going to which brand? I want to say Nikki Cross goes to SmackDown, and I want to say EC3 goes to Raw. I want to say Heavy Machinery goes to Raw, and Lacey Evans, I don't know, maybe a Raw
She can
or
go
maybe
either
SmackDown. She could go either way, and I think if they're going to try and move, because realistically, Charlotte or Becky has to move to challenge Ronda. So if they're going to move, you can move somebody into their slot. So Nikki or what's her name, Lacey can slide into that spot.
I look at like Lacey Evans. Hers was kind of like when they moved the Riot Squad up, you know, or Mandy and Sonya. Like it wasn't as much fanfare as like obviously not like the Horsewomen or Paige or Emma or you know or people like that.
Right.
Or even Carmella or Nia. It was or Alexa even. It was just kind of like done and they're you know. I have a lot of faith in. I love Nikki Cross's character.
As long as they use her right, she'll be great.
She's good in the ring. She's amazing as a character. Yeah, and that's kind of the fear. I hope that they don't go too hokey and silly with her.
Right, like they did with Dean Ambrose.
But whereas with Heavy Machinery, I think if they embrace the kind of silliness that they do, I think it could turn out well because I think it's the act is going to get over on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Whereas I'm glad that like Dream or Johnny or Ciampa or the Undisputed Era did not go.
No, Dream was on Twitter last night trying to get called up. I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're asking for.
Yeah, that was I mean, like he still needs to marinate a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Now that there's a mid-card title in NXT, it could make the chase even longer. So that way guys can work up to the main event level in NXT and then go to the main roster when they're ready. Like Ricochet, he's the North American champion, but he can go up to the, you know, win the big one, or Adam Cole.
Right. Yeah, either of those guys you could pop in to a, you know, Intercontinental title.
But I think you need to let these guys like explore a little bit. Like, man, it's almost too bad that you didn't have the North American title around back during the days when like Tyson Kidd or Tyler Breeze were mainstays on NXT.
Yeah, that would have been a good spot, like even like CJ Parker kind of ish.
Yeah, and it's funny because when at first I was like, nah, NXT doesn't need any more titles, but it almost makes it better that they added that. It gives guys more of a chance, and then they could kind of slowly move up. Like I miss the days where you won the IC title and then the world title.
Yeah, that was the way. I mean, it
like
was
Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior and Bret Hart, guys like that.
Words right out of my mouth. Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Razor didn't win, but you know.
But Razor won the IC title and then started challenging for the world title, I believe.
Yeah, and then Diesel had a quick, you know. I mean, shit. Even though they did it within a year, Kurt Angle.
It was like they were, because it used to be they were conditioning you for this person to be winning a title, but because it was almost like it was less of a shock or to the system to have them win a lower title and then work their way up. Whereas if Bret Hart just won the world title coming out of the gate, like
here's the thing: not everybody's a Hulk Hogan, you know, where you're going to be shot right to the main event.
Yeah. No, I agree. Not everybody's that way. They need to be built up, especially guys who are not of the same build or stature as Hulk Hogan.
I mean, shit. Even Austin and Rock were built up over time.
Yeah, I mean Triple H and Rock
and Triple H and Mick Foley,
the Intercontinental title. Yeah, and those guys the road to the world title was through the Intercontinental Championship, and that's.
Whereas when Undertaker kind of came in, I understand why he was thrust into the main event the next year, you know, challenging Hogan and stuff like that. I don't think he was beyond a mid-card title. A mid-card title for The Undertaker wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah, he's like a guy like that is the exception because
it worked for Warrior, but that's only because they needed, you know, like
but it worked because there was not that they were pitting him against but there was Warrior fans and there were Hogan fans. and they wanted to do like a Yankees Red Sox kind of thing, and that's where they got to. It's like
because like when Honky Tonk Man came out at SummerSlam, and he made the open challenge, and I think originally they had, what was it, Beefcake planned or whatever, and that didn't work out. And then when Warrior came in, like it was almost like Warrior was like the perfect guy to come in at that point.
Oh yeah,
Honky Tonk Man and all his shenanigans and always winning his matches and shit, and then to be
that was like showing there was going to be an evolution in one.
And the roof flew flying off the place when Warrior came out, when his music hit.
Once you get past Hogan and Warrior and like Stone Cold and The Rock, nobody gets that fucking reaction anymore. Nobody.
But you can choose your guys that are going to either go to the main event right away, like a Brock Lesnar kind of guy, or someone who's going to work, who's going to have to work for it. And I really it's unfortunate, but I think they missed the boat on Braun.
Yeah, I wonder if they
I don't think he's that guy anymore. He was, and they had a chance. In fact, I would have even taken it. I would have even given it to him from Lesnar at their first match back in a year ago.
Yeah, I agree. Even if it was a shock thing and then Lesnar challenged and won it back, it would still be an upset. Like, I don't know. There needs to be motion. Maybe we'll get motion now. Now, according to Steve, this thing is going to end at 8:10.
Yeah. I guess we should wrap things up. I wish we knew what Ryan's question was.
I know. Well, I guess we can ask him next week when he's on what his question was. It was probably about TLC.
We're now... Let's see. So next Tuesday is it's Christmas Day.
Oh, next Tuesday's Christmas Day. We probably won't be doing a show next Tuesday.
I guess. Well, I mean, half of us are Jewish.
I know, I was just going to say half of us are Jewish, half of you guys are Jewish. So I don't know.
Me, Steve, and Amanda are Jewish, and plus Kat's, husband is Jewish.
Right. So I guess we'll see. We'll play it by ear, but
I mean, obviously, if it was Christmas Eve day, then it happened on a Tuesday, then we would not be on. 25th is I don't know. Yeah, it's iffy, and that's okay. We could take a week off to marinate a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So SmackDown started. We got Becky came out, and then Charlotte came out, and now Asuka's coming out. So it's about to. Oh, and they started off with a meeting, the SmackDown locker room, and Shane said some words. I'll have to go back and get exactly what they said, but I can only really see the TV. But yeah, go to our social media at Tag Me a Date on Instagram and Twitter, and YouTube, youtube.com. Type in Tag Me a Date, Tag Me a Date, no spaces, all one word. And you can look up our YouTube channel, like the videos, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when we upload a new video. And I've still got time here. And of course, sign up for tagmeadate.com. Tagmeadate.com is the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. You can find your tag team match on tagmeadate.com. It's absolutely free to sign up, free to send messages, to share status updates, all that good stuff. It is a social network where you can find your tag team match. They're a wrestling fan, superstars and divas all over the world for you to search from. Zip code, location searching, search by favorite wrestler, all that. So tagmeadate.com. It is free to sign up. And we'll be back we might be back next Tuesday, but in general, we do Tuesday night, 7 p.m. on Eastern time. So adjust your clocks as you need.
We'll try to make some kind of announcement.
Yeah, we'll definitely, if you stay tuned to our social media, we'll let you know if we're going to go live or not. Maybe it'll just be the Jew crew next week. All right. Anything else you want to add there, Eric?
No, that's
all right. Excellent. So,
I think we had a good show though tonight.
I think it was good. Yeah.
Got everything in. We're missing our crew, and
I know. Yeah, we're missing the others, Ryan and Kat and Amanda. So we'll get them back, and we'll have hopefully be up and running, fully operational within the next 2 weeks. All right, Vince McMahon just came out. We got to go.
Oh, okay.
See you guys later. Have a nice night.